All right, let's jump right in. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow, realize you have a massive, ridiculously complex assignment due, and you just ask an AI to write it for you, and somehow it finishes the whole thing in literally seconds. Or say you're trying to wrap your head around something completely mind-bending. You ask it to explain quantum physics, but with a major catch. You tell it to explain things as if you were 5 years old. And it just does it. It takes one of the most complex topics in the universe and breaks it down into these perfectly digestible, bite-sized pieces. Or what if you asked it to write a full-length movie script or build a comprehensive business plan totally from scratch? Translate a document into 20 different languages instantly, or scour through thousands of lines of computer code to find a single bug. It handles the whole shebang, completely seamlessly. So the real question we have to ask is, how on earth is it pulling this off? I mean, when you look at it on your screen, it feels almost magical, right? Is there a tiny little person inside the server typing out answers? Does it just frantically search the web every single time you ask it something and copy-paste the results? Or did it somehow actually memorize the entire internet? Today, in this explainer, we're opening up the black box. We're going to see exactly how this technology works, from the very millisecond you hit enter to the moment it spits out an answer. Okay, first things first, we need to bust a massive myth. A lot of people think ChatGPT is just a supercharged search engine, but it's really not. Google is built to find existing information that already lives on websites. ChatGPT works in a fundamentally different way. Instead of searching for answers when you ask a question, it's actually predicting what words should come next, based on everything it absorbed during its massive training phase. To really grasp what's going on here, just think about texting your best friend. When you pull out your phone and type, "I'll see you," your phone immediately starts suggesting the next word. But your phone isn't reading your mind, right? It's simply predicting the most likely next word, offering up a suggestion like tomorrow. ChatGPT is doing this exact same thing, but on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend. Instead of just relying on a few thousand everyday words to finish a text, it continues predicting word after word after word until it builds out complete, coherent stories and totally detailed explanations. So you might be wondering, where does it get all this predictive power? Well, it learned these patterns by going on an absolutely enormous data diet. Before it ever answered a single prompt, it was trained on millions of books, incredibly dense scientific papers, gigabytes of code, everyday internet conversations, recipes, history, and high-level mathematics. But here's the kicker. It didn't just memorize every sentence. Over several months, using thousands of specialized computer chips, it learned the deep relationships and patterns between all those words. If it sees the phrase, "the sun rises in thee," it mathematically knows the overwhelmingly probable next word is east. Now, the secret sauce behind all of this predictive magic actually traces back to 2017. That year, there was a massive, game-changing breakthrough in artificial intelligence that essentially made everything we're talking about today possible. It's a specific architecture called the transformer. And just to be clear, a transformer here isn't a giant robot that suddenly turns into a sports car. It's a revolutionary way of structuring AI. The real magic of the transformer lies in a process called attention. See, older AI systems read text strictly word by word, which meant they lost track of the context really, really fast. The transformer uses this attention mechanism to grasp the context of an entire sentence all at once, constantly evaluating how every single important word relates to the others. Think about it like this. When someone asks you, "What is the capital of France?" your brain naturally just connects the core concepts, capital with France. The transformer's attention mechanism is doing the exact same thing, just mathematically. That is precisely why it can hold the context over those super long, complex conversations, which was basically impossible to do just a few short years ago. Okay, let's take all this theory and put it into practice. What actually happens behind the scenes when we give it a simple prompt? You sit down, open the app, and type, "Why is the sky blue?" What happens the very millisecond after you hit enter? Honestly, the journey is wild. Your question instantly zips across internet cables. We're talking undersea cables spanning entire continents, straight to powerful server farms packed with advanced hardware. And once it gets there, it goes through a highly structured, multi-step mathematical transformation. The AI doesn't actually read your English sentence, it dissects it. This dissection process, it's called tokenization. Instead of plain English, the system breaks your sentence into tiny little puzzle pieces called tokens. A token could be a whole word, just a chunk of a word, or even a simple punctuation mark. Take the word hamburger, for example. It might get chopped into 3 separate tokens: ham, burr, endure. Then it converts all these tokens into pure numbers. Why? Because at its core, this AI is just a giant math engine, and numbers are the only language it truly understands. Once your prompt is turned into numbers, the real heavy lifting kicks in. Layer by layer, the system starts performing probability calculations. And I'm not talking about a few calculations. I'm talking about billions of them, every single second. It rapidly analyzes the relationships between all those tokens to predict the single most likely next token, and then the next one, and the next. It just runs this loop continuously, incredibly fast, until the full answer is built and beamed right back to your screen. Because this all happens so blazingly fast, honestly way faster than any human could ever type, it totally feels like the AI is thinking. It feels like you're having a chat with this conscious, knowledgeable being. But the reality? It has zero emotions, no consciousness, it has no personal life experiences, it doesn't get hungry, it definitely doesn't dream, and it has absolutely no awareness that it's even having a conversation with you. Which brings us to a perfect analogy from modern AI. It's predicting language so flawlessly that it creates an incredibly powerful illusion of understanding. Think of it like a Hollywood actor confidently playing a brilliant neurosurgeon in a movie. They sound incredibly convincing. They hit all the right medical jargon, they look the part. But the second the director yells cut, they're still just an actor. They don't have a real medical degree. ChatGPT is playing the role of an expert, and it's doing it brilliantly, entirely through math. But knowing that it's essentially just a word prediction engine brings us to a pretty massive catch. Because its primary goal is just to guess the most likely next words based on patterns, and not to actually guarantee factual truth, it can sometimes confidently spit out completely inaccurate information. It'll string together sentences that sound totally plausible, but are just fundamentally wrong. In the tech world, we call this an AI hallucination, and this is exactly why you absolutely have to double-check important facts against real, reliable sources. But look, even with those limitations, we are still in the very, very early days of this tech. We're looking at a totally new frontier. Grasping how this works right now is honestly as crucial as understanding how web browsers and the internet worked 20 years ago. The foundations being laid down today are absolutely going to dictate human progress for the next few decades. Because while today's AI is mostly busy helping us draft polite emails or debug basic code, tomorrow's AI is aiming way, way higher. It has the potential to completely rewire massive foundational industries. We're talking hyper-personalized education tailored to every single student, mind-blowing advanced diagnostics in healthcare, and totally new ways of doing engineering and entertainment. We are literally just scratching the surface of what this shift is going to look like. So the next time you boot it up to answer a question or write a document, just remember, behind every single answer isn't a brain, and it definitely isn't magic. It's an unbelievable amount of computing power, years of specialized research, and probability math working together in milliseconds to just guess the next word. It's fascinating, it's powerful, and honestly, it's just the beginning. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Given how fast all of this is moving, what piece of technology should we dive into and explain next?